Hello, guys. We just received some of the previews from Adepticon, and I thought we'd look at them. And don't be worried because this is Age of Sigma. We're going to get to the Dwarfs. I just think we'll have a look at the Age of Sigma stuff as well to see if there's anything good here for fantasy players. And looking at these Oziok Bone Reapers, or whatever they're called, I don't think you'll find much use in any of the death stuff. But if we go down and look at the so-called Sylvaneth or Dryad stuff, I think you've got a lot of good things. This would make an excellent Wood Elf hero. I think it's really cool. It looks a lot like the new Drika model, which I think is a continuation of that theme. These again, I think would make great heroes if you want sort of an all Dryad army, but maybe use them as some form of elf hero, but of course looking more like the Dryads. Same thing here. I think they look pretty cool. You still see that they're very elven. I think they will go very well in any Wood Elf army. And of course the big thing, which are the new Dryads. I think the old Dryads still look very good. When I saw these, I didn't actually realize they were new at first. It's always nice to see some old fantasy models getting entirely new sculpts, even if they are on round basis. I think they're cool. I think they'll probably be a lot of fun to paint. I know the old ones are, especially if you dry brush them. But I think this is welcome to any Wood Elf player, and some terrain. But let's go on. We have some Warhammer Underworld stuff. Some of these are really good for Warhammer the Old World. These, I don't know. You could probably use them in like an Empire army as some form of peasantry, probably. This guy is really odd, which suits a sort of zealot theme. I have a hard time seeing how you'd use it, but I'm sure there's a way. Same thing with these guys. These would probably make really cool Crypt Ghoul heroes if you want to run a ghoul army, exchanging maybe a vampire lord for this dude, or a necromancer for one of these. I think that'd be nice. So good heroes for thematic armies, but probably not good for anything else in the old world. Here we find some nice stuff. I think this is a really, really cool new Chaos hero that you definitely could. I don't know what base size you'd put him on, but you could definitely port this over to Warhammer the Old World. He would fit right in, especially with the newer Slaves to Darkness models, which I know aren't the ones that are going to be released for Warhammer Fantasy. It's probably going to be the old Warriors of Chaos coming back. But I think this guy would fit in with those as well. I don't know what you'd play him as, but I think that's a minor issue in the he just looks very Warriors of Chaos-y. I think he does the part. And I think these steeds are from the old. No, they aren't. They're probably Age of Sigma. They look really cool as well. He works really well with them. I know he's going to work really well with the Chaos Knights and the Chosen on Horse. I like the aesthetic of the new AOS Chaos stuff. It feels very Warhammer Fantasy-esque, which is good. They're sort of moving, going backwards. And I think this would be a cool sort of centerpiece thing for any Storm of Chaos, fantasy battle. But let's look at the main event, so to say, the Dwarven Mountain Holds. So this is going to be the new battalion. It's an all right battalion. I think it could have been better, to be honest, because I suppose that's sort of the character of the dwarfs, but you're getting a lot of models that look exactly the same, which I think is a bit boring. I mean, if you compare this with the orcs or the orcs and goblins, you get both orcs and goblins, which is very nice. But there you go. You will need to buy most of these models anyway, so I suppose it's fair enough. It's something that you're going to want. It's a good base. I don't know why you'd get 2 gyrocopters. I mean, they're cool models. They're some of the newer models. I think they remained quite far into AOS if they didn't actually survive the entirety of AOS, which is neat. But if you're going to buy 4 of these boxes, you're not going to need 8 gyrocopters. But I also think this sort of shows us what the new battles or the battalions are going to look like. Seeing the Orcs and Goblin one had sort of a detachment of goblins and a large block of orcs and 2 chariots. This has essentially 2 smaller detachments of ranged units and 2 larger detachments of close combat units and 2 gyrocopters. So this is probably going to be the model for it. I suppose you could just sort of look at the Empire. You're probably going to have halberdiers and archers. No, not archers. The crossbowmen and 2 cannons. I think that's going to be the formula they're going for, which is I don't mind. I'm not going to buy this, but I already have a lot of dwarfs. If I didn't, that's probably a good place to start. So they're going to get an arcane journal. I think it's going to be really cool to see what's inside of that. I love to see the new dwarf art. We haven't gotten new Warhammer the OId art for quite a while, so that's very nice. And this is the really cool part. I remember having the old dwarf lord on riding a shield or whatever, and he was a pain to model. This looks great. I mean, this is so crispy. The dwarves down here sort of remind me of the Blood Bowl dwarves that are really crispy. I think it keeps most of the old aesthetic. This feels like a Warhammer Dwarf King, but it looks really fun to paint because it is so clean. It's very crisp. It looks like it's going to be fun to put together. The detail in the faces are amazing. I think this is excellent, and if this is sort of a sign of what we're going to get in the future, I think this is great. I mean, looking at this and the Black Orc Big Boss that was revealed, this is the entirely correct direction to go with Warhammer the OId. Same with this chap. I think it's really cool. Don't know the story about this wee cape back here. It looks a bit odd, but overall I think it's pretty good. It feels very if you'd put this in an old dwarf army, I probably wouldn't think that's a model I've never seen before. It looks like it fits in, and again the details are so crisp. It's amazing. This is, again, I think this stone looks a lot like, I can't remember his name. There's a Thane that is standing on sort of a similar stone. It looks really dwarven, like the giant wings. I like the extremely oversized gun, and the I haven't even seen the pipe before. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, that looks really smashing. This guy I think looks a bit off. He reminds me somehow. I don't ask me how. He reminds me of the all the new Lumineth Realm Lords that have sort of cowl helmets. There's something about his dimensions that just feel off. But I mean, I suppose he's a good model. There's just something that feels a bit off. He doesn't feel like a Slayer. I suppose, did the old Slayer... I don't think the old Slayers had these skirts. I think they were trousers. So that might be it. I don't know, but I mean, he looks cool. He reminds me of a cow, which isn't very odd. He's got 2 enormous horns and some returning plastic. The old Rune Lord is, we've missed this guy. I think he was one of the last new release, part of the last new releases before the world exploded, so to say. Really excited to paint him again. Yeah, so we've already seen these. They're included in the battalion. I mean, you're going to need them if you're doing dwarves. I think looking at these guys compared to the ones that were in the battle for, what was it, the 6th edition starter set, I think those were actually preferable because they were better sculpted. These look very chunky because they're from part of G-Dub's history where they wanted to do everything multi-part, but they weren't that good at making everything multi-part, so it looks very chunky. The good part is very modular. The bad part is it looks, I mean, sometimes a bit like Legos. So I'm not a massive fan of this kit, but I'm really happy to see it return. Same thing with the Quarrelers and Thunderers. And these, here we go, the Ironbreakers and the Firedrakes are part of the, or if they're not, no, the Hammers come later. They're part of the last release of Dwarfs in 8th edition. Really happy to see them return. I think they did remain for most of Age of Sigma as the dispossessed. So they're not, I mean, they're not entirely returning in that manner, but it's good to see them on square base again. Yep, and here we've got the Hammers. You know, I've missed seeing dwarfs in massive blocks. It looks very nice, and they've got a new. You know, Britannia got a new sort of public image. That was the black and red house, where before they've had the blue and red. So I think this is the new dwarf. If you look at this banner with the tower or the mountain, that's the same one as this one and the same one as that one. So that's probably going to be their new marketing colours for the dwarfs. So we're getting some Forge World resin kits as well. I'm not a fan of these chaps. I like that they're returning. I know that a lot of people really like these ones. Personally, not really that big of a fan. I think they look like they are hand sculpted, which they are, which I really appreciate. But you can sort of see it in these guys. You can see where someone sat with it, which is lovely if you make your own model. But if I buy something, I don't know, it does have character, which I like. I think it's something about the banner that throws me off. Or if it's the faces. It's just these three guys. I suppose these two guys don't speak to me that much. This guy's cool. And returning metal kits, I mean, getting the old Anvil of Doom is amazing. They're so cool. Getting it back is great. It's been gone far too long, and getting some actual, metal miniatures is just epic. I've got a friend who collects pure metal dwarf army, and I know he's really excited to see these return. So I'm really happy for all the dwarf players that never got around to buying an Anvil of Doom when they were little. Here's your chance to get a chunk of metal. Same here, some Slayers. These chains are going to break off immediately. If anyone buys these and have the chains still attached after a year, please do send images. I will not believe you otherwise. But yeah, I mean, these are cool. Again, you can sort of see that they're hand sculpted, but I suppose that is part of the charm. I don't know. I think I've sort of started to grow out of it, which I wish I didn't, because I mean, a part of me understands that it's more charming to have models that actually look sculpted than the sort of picture perfect ones that we have today. These ones are, I mean, these are incredibly cool. I've only ever seen, I think, the champion. I've completely forgotten these even existed. This is exactly what we want, G-Dubs. I mean, please keep doing this. Returning stuff that most of us didn't even know existed is exactly what we want from the old world. Thank you for bringing that back. I'm so excited to see what people are making of these. But yeah, that's all that we've seen so far of the dwarfs. I'm sure we'll get one or two more things. They haven't showed us any guns or cannons rather, so that's probably going to be the next big thing. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging along, and I'll try and keep you updated on what's coming out for the Dwarven Mountain Holds, and happy Adepticon review day, I suppose.